The placing on this list is based off of a poll where over 11,000 people voted for their favorite Sith Lord. At number 10 with 350 votes is Vitiate, better known simply as the Sith Emperor. He was born over 5,000 years before the Clone Wars. By the moment he was born, Vitiate was as power-hungry and evil as you could get. At just the young age of 6, he had already taken someone's life, his stepfather's life, after witnessing him beat his mother. But Vitiate didn't kill him out of kindness, as afterwards he went on to torture his own mother for months with the Force before finally ending her life too. The pain and anger produced from these killings fed him power and fueled his ambitions. After killing his mother, he went on a rampage and slaughtered countless inhabitants of the planet he was on, forcing those who were strong enough to serve him. By the time he was only 13 years old, he had conquered his entire homeworld on his own. His lust for power didn't end there. When he was older, he went on to trick 8,000 Sith Lords to participate in a ritual that resulted in their deaths, with all of their life forces being consumed by Vitiate, which gave him immeasurable amounts of power and made him immortal. After the ritual, he probably became the most powerful Sith Lord to ever live at that point in history. He was so powerful that he even defeated the renowned Jedi Revan and Malak, turning them both to the dark side. He then secretly constructed a new Sith Empire, emerging from the shadows of the galaxy and waging war on the Republic and taking over half of the galaxy. Although he was set on taking over the entire galaxy, his end goal wasn't to rule it, but rather to destroy it and consume every living being's life force, which would have given him eternal life and the ability to do anything he pleased. He basically would have become a god at that point had he succeeded. He was killed multiple times over the course of a few centuries, multiple times in that he was able to transfer his consciousness through the Force into other bodies and cheat death. During his time as the Sith Emperor, he was secretly constructing another galactic empire known as the Eternal Empire, to which he began to later rule and then was known as Valkorion. But at that point, he wasn't exactly a Sith Lord, but rather a dark side user, so we'll end the summary here. From your guys' comments, most of you voted for Vitiate due to his incredible Force powers and the fact that he achieved immortality, as well as for his very evil and cold-hearted personality. At number 9 with 374 votes is Darth Plagueis. A wealthy Mun banker to the public eye, Plagueis was in reality a hidden Sith Lord who is best known for being the master of Palpatine and for his manipulation of midichlorians. Like most Sith, Plagueis strived to achieve immortality, except he took it a bit to the extreme. Especially in his later years, he experimented with the Force and manipulated the midichlorians to create life, believing that that was his path to success. He was somewhat successful, being able to keep his loved ones alive and even resurrect others. It is also believed that Plagueis indirectly created Anakin Skywalker by accidentally conceiving him through the Force with his manipulation of the midichlorians, which means Plagueis was technically Anakin's father. Anyway, as we know through Palpatine's tale, Plagueis was ultimately betrayed by his own apprentice, aka the guy telling the story. Plagueis was killed in his sleep after Palpatine cemented his rise to chancellorship, viewing his former master as nothing more but a loose end at this point. Although his apprentice was a psychopathic monster, Plagueis himself was actually really reasonable and kind of nice. Well, for a Sith, that is. He came to view Palpatine as an equal despite him being his apprentice, and he even trusted him with his life, which was a fatal mistake, as Palpatine betrayed him the moment he had the chance. Many people voted for Plagueis due to his calm and intelligent personality, and for the fact that he laid the groundwork for the Sith's takeover of the galaxy, and also because some people believe him to be Snoke. At number 8 with 396 votes is Darth Bane. Born about 1,000 years before the Clone Wars, the soon-to-be Darth Bane was at first a simple miner who was only known as Dessel. After a heated game of sabacc, Dessel killed an angry Republic officer in self-defense after the officer attacked him over losing the game. Desperate to avoid the authorities, Dessel smuggled himself out of Republic territory and into the Sith Empire. He quickly became a foot soldier within the Sith Empire, but was then taken out of it when it was discovered that he was Force sensitive. He was sent to the Sith Academy on Korriban for training and became known as Bane afterwards. Although he became an excellent warrior, he soon lost his faith in the group running the place, viewing the Brotherhood of Darkness as cowards. Bane went on to study Darth Revan's Sith holocron on the planet Lehan. With his new knowledge, Bane destroyed the Brotherhood of Darkness and created his own Sith Order. In his order, he instituted the Rule of Two, which stated that there can only be two Sith at any given time, a master and an apprentice. This was to prevent the endless infighting among Sith seen in the past Sith orders. Bane later picked the young girl Xana to be his apprentice, and the one who he would pass his knowledge down to. A decade passed, and Bane's existence was discovered by the Jedi. The Jedi sent a strike team to kill him and his apprentice. Despite being outnumbered, Bane and Xana were able to defeat them, but at the cost of Bane sustaining an injury. They both went into hiding, during which Bane healed himself. A decade later, and Bane's Rule of Two was put to the test. Believing she was ready to surpass her master, Xana instigated a duel with Bane, seeking to replace him. The first duel between them ended with a draw, with Bane escaping. Shortly after, a second duel was fought between them, in which Darth Bane was finally defeated. His apprentice continued on his Rule of Two by taking her own apprentice, Darth Cognis. This same cycle was continued for centuries in the shadows, with it finally building up to Darth Sidious, who went on to destroy the Jedi Order through deception and manipulation. Most people who voted for Darth Bane seemed to vote for him because he created the Rule of Two, which paved the path for the Sith to eventually take over the galaxy. At number 7 with 406 votes is Darth Talon. Born over 100 years after the Clone Wars, this rare red-colored Twi'lek was brought up under Darth Krayt's Sith Empire. She quickly rose up through the ranks after killing her master, and she later achieved the high rank of becoming the Hand of Darth Krayt's order. She was given a mission to capture Cade Skywalker and to convert him to the dark side. During her time with Cade, they developed a relationship with each other, but it didn't last long, with Cade eventually injuring her in a fight. After Darth Krayt was defeated by Cade Skywalker, Darth Talon and all the remaining Sith of the Order went into hiding. Her ultimate fate is left unknown. Many people voted on her because of her unending loyalty to her master, and also because of the way she looks. At number 6 with 444 votes is Darth Tyrannus. Originally a long-devoted Jedi, Dooku became very disaffected with the Jedi Order and the Republic they were serving, viewing both as corrupt institutions that had lost their ways. Being regarded as one of the greatest Jedi at the time, Dooku's departure was a major blow to the Order and the Masters who knew him. The Jedi eventually created a bust in his name and viewed his departure as a failure in their own ways. Dooku eventually fell to the dark side and became Palpatine's apprentice, taking the name of Darth Tyrannus. Together they schemed the ultimate Sith plot on destroying the Jedi and taking over the galaxy. They did this by starting the Clone Wars and tricking the Jedi into accepting an army whose sole purpose was to betray them and destroy them. Unfortunately for Dooku, he was betrayed by Palpatine once he was defeated by Anakin Skywalker, who went on to replace him as Palpatine's new apprentice. Many people voted on Dooku because he was played by Christopher Lee and for his very elegant lightsaber fighting style. At number 5 with 698 votes is Darth Sidious. Born to a wealthy family on the planet of Naboo, Sheev Palpatine sought power from a very young age. Viewed and treated as an outcast by his family, Palpatine eventually got his revenge by secretly killing them when he was a young adult. He was later taken in as an apprentice to Darth Plagueis and was trained in the dark side. Along with his Sith teachings, Palpatine was groomed to become an influential politician who would spearhead the Sith plot by becoming the Supreme Chancellor, as in Plagueis' opinion, only a human could become the Supreme Chancellor within the Republic at that point. Once Palpatine cemented his rise to becoming the Supreme Chancellor, he killed Plagueis in his sleep, as he viewed him as nothing more than a nuisance at that point. As Chancellor, Palpatine manipulated the galaxy, staging crises that allowed him to extend his terms and eventually gain emergency powers once the Clone Wars erupted. After the Jedi were destroyed from Order 66, Palpatine declared himself Emperor of his new galactic empire. He ruled with an iron fist for the next 2 decades, before finally being betrayed and killed by Darth Vader. But his story didn't end there. In Legends, Palpatine came back to life through transferring his consciousness into clone bodies that he had stored up on secret worlds across the galaxy. Once ready, he wreaked havoc in the galaxy and forced the emerging New Republic back into a full-out war. He was finally defeated when Han Solo killed his last clone body, and when a Jedi named Brand consumed Palpatine's spirit and trapped him along with every other deceased Jedi in the Force itself. Most of his votes came from people who enjoyed his manipulative personality, which allowed him to trick the Jedi into their own destruction, cementing himself to become the Emperor of the galaxy. At number 4 with 967 votes is Darth Nihilus. He is another Sith from the Old Republic era, being active almost 4,000 years before the Clone Wars. Losing everything as a young man during the Mandalorian Wars, the soon-to-be Nihilus was consumed with immense pain that later developed into a strange hunger for relief through the Force. This hunger could only be cured by stealing the Force energies of living beings, but the relief only lasted for a short time, as the hunger came back worse than ever, demanding Nihilus to continue draining his prey. He soon became a slave to his hunger, committing all of his time to feeding on people's Force energies. He continued to do this until he was taken in by Darth Traya, a former Jedi turned Sith who wished to make him into her student so she could hone his abilities and make him into her powerful servant. She eventually dubbed him Darth Nihilus and granted him the title of Lord of Hunger. With all the training he had received, Nihilus was able to drain entire planets of all of their life forces, making him one of the most powerful Sith Lords to ever live. Unfortunately for Traya, she was betrayed by Nihilus and a few other students. Doing pretty much his own thing now, Nihilus continued to force drain as many beings as he possibly could, eventually destroying his physical body as he could no longer contain all of the energies he consumed. This forced him to use the Force to encase himself into a mask and robe. He later took on an apprentice named Visas Mar, a survivor from one of the planets he consumed to destruction. Mar would eventually betray his master and team up with Jedi Master Mitra Surik and the current Mandalore to defeat Nihilus. Although he was defeated, his Force spirit remained alive and later became a Force ghost on the planet Korriban. Many people voted for Darth Nihilus due to how uniquely powerful he was and for his ability to destroy all life on planets, and also because many people liked the design of his mask. At number 3 with 1,350 votes is Darth Maul. Originally only supposed to act as a Sith assassin for both Palpatine and Plagueis, Maul became a full-blown Sith Lord once Palpatine betrayed his own master and made him his apprentice. Though this apprenticeship was short-lived once Maul was defeated at the hands of Obi-Wan when he was cut down. Believed to be dead, Maul was soon replaced by Dooku as Palpatine's new apprentice. Though he wasn't dead, and he continued to live on a junk planet for the next 10 years where he went insane over his failures and defeat at the hands of Obi-Wan. He finally came to when his brother Savage Opress brought him back to Dathomir and had Night Sister magic make him sane again. Now back and seeking revenge, Maul wreaked havoc across the Outer Rim trying to lure out Obi-Wan in an attempt to destroy him, and later attempting to overtake the galaxy by taking over power of Mandalore and crime syndicates. But his plans were crushed when Palpatine discovered his existence and took care of him, capturing his former apprentice and bringing him to Stygian Prime, where he was tortured. Palpatine's ultimate plan was not to kill Maul, but rather to use him as bait in order to lure out Mother Talzin, and to kill her once and for all. Maul fell for this trap, eventually leading Palpatine and his henchmen to Talzin and having her killed. After witnessing his own mother get killed, Maul went into hiding and pretty much became a shadow of his former self. He reappeared almost 2 decades later, and he tried to turn Ezra to the dark side to make him his new apprentice, but he has currently found no success in doing so. Maul gained many votes for his persistence in staying alive, an unending rage that's been motivating him, and getting revenge on Obi-Wan. He also gained many votes for his tattoos and double-bladed lightsaber. At number 2 with 2,741 votes is Darth Vader. Probably the most iconic villain in not only Star Wars but in all of cinema, Darth Vader made his first menacing appearance in A New Hope, and he has returned back again in last year's Rogue One, where he proved once again to audiences that he is a force to be feared. He was the Emperor's main enforcer, and was typically found spearheading operations, from hunting down Jedi to chasing down rebels. Although his injuries limited his ability to perform some force powers like Force Lightning, he was still a monster in lightsaber combat. His strikes were so strong and heavy-hitting that he was able to overpower most low-level Jedi with just a few hits, knocking their lightsabers out of their hand and landing the killing blow. Although he was first pretty much completely loyal to his master, this loyalty quickly slipped once Vader discovered that he had a son. While he was unable to convince his son to join him and rule the galaxy at his side, he did eventually save Luke's life by sacrificing his life in killing Emperor Palpatine. People voted for Vader for multiple reasons, from his iconic voice and suit, to his character development of a broken man who was corrupted and twisted both mentally and physically by Palpatine, but was able to ultimately overcome this and take down the man who had kept him in chains for decades. Before we mention number 1, we have a few honorable mentions. First is Darth Krayt for getting 11th place with 185 votes. He was the creator of the Rule of One and the main antagonist of the Star Wars Legacy series. Second is Darth Malgus for getting the most write-in votes. He was a prominent warrior for the Sith Empire and was the one who led to the sacking of Coruscant during the Great Galactic War. And finally, a shout out to the 12 people who mistook this Star Wars poll for a fast food drive-thru. Now at number 1, with 2,942 votes, is Darth Revan. Originally a prominent Jedi who led the Republic in the Mandalorian Wars, Revan turned to the dark side when he and his friend Malak confronted the Sith Emperor known as Vitiate. As a Sith Lord, Darth Revan started the Jedi Civil War and killed multiple Jedi. He was eventually betrayed by his friend Darth Malak, and he was believed to have been killed. But he survived, and he eventually recovered, but with no memory of who he was. Knowing how powerful he was, and wishing to exploit his powers for themselves, the Jedi decided to retrain him in the Jedi ways again, so that they could later use him. Once retrained as a Jedi, Revan was sent to kill his former friend Darth Malak. He succeeded. After a while, the memories of his past life started to reappear. This caused him to search for answers, and during this search he was captured by the Sith and kept as a prisoner. As a prisoner, he was constantly tortured by the Sith Emperor, eventually causing his mind to split into two halves, the light and the dark. The dark side of Revan sought to destroy the Sith Emperor once and for all through extreme methods, but before he was able to accomplish this, he was defeated by the Republic and the light side of Revan. After everything, Revan finally was able to go out in peace as he became one with the Force. Many people voted for Revan because of how he went out of his way to do what he believed was right, even if it meant going against the wishes of the Jedi. His struggle between the light and the dark was also a reason that people voted for him. Thanks for watching our top 10 list. Let us know if you enjoyed this video and wish to see more like it, with other subjects and categories concerning Star Wars. Feel free to comment below with what you'd like to see in the future, and upvote the comments that you agree with.